All right, so my friends, welcome. Complete set review for Wilds of Eldraine. Every card, limited, constructed, the awards you know and love, and me. Hit that like button. I know you want to. All right, it's time for our colors and our land cards in white, blue, black, red, and green, as well as the multicolored cards. You missed any of those on the YouTube, go watch them. Also, want to remind y'all, pre-release. Paladar pre-release, free to play with prizes in the Discord. That's for YouTube subs and so YouTube members and Twitch subs. Join the Discord for details, free to play, lots of fun. Check it out. Let's go with Colorless, folks. Boom. Starting out with Agathas Soul Cauldron, one of the more confusing cards in the set. 2 mana for a legendary artifact. You may spend mana as though or mana of any color to activate abilities of creatures you control. So this basically makes all of your activated ability costs generic, which is a very combo-y thing to do. Creatures you control, with plus and plus counters on them, have all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with Agathas Soul Cauldron. So Necrotic Ooze kind of thing where you get to do copy abilities. Tap, exile a card from a graveyard. When a creature card's exiled its way, put a counter on a creature you control. So, this is probably broken in some way. Necrotic Ooze was as well. Or if you can get the right combination of creatures in your graveyard and then exile with this, you can give a creature 2 abilities that kind of go infinite, whatever. How are we going to do that? I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know. But yeah, I just don't know. Honestly, this was a weird combo-y card. What do you do with it? Yeah, you mill Grizzlebrand, mill draw 7, sure. You just all the Necrotic Ooze kind of stuff. Someone smarter than me can handle this card. I'm just gonna leave it at that, honestly. Possibly broken, might just do nothing. Yeah, Walking Ballista, some way to add counters, and then Walking Ballista to kill them, etc. You get the idea. This card will do nothing, or it will do lots of things. Pretty similar. And then in constructed, in limited, which kind of grows your stuff too. Yeah, I don't know. Possibly broken. We'll see. But too confusing to talk about in a minute or two, Next up is Candy Trail. 1 mana for an artifact food clue. We get a food and a clue at the same time. EDB Scry 2. Pay 2, sack it, gain 3, draw a card. Kind of sweet, honestly. This card's good. Just a cheap card. Gain some life. Draws a card. Scry 2. No ETBs here, so it's hard to abuse with flickering or whatever. This card's kind of cool, honestly. Not sure what you want to do with this card, in Constructor or whatever, stuff like that too. But as far as just greasing the wheels, the thing is that if you want to sack this for value, you don't really gain much, because you're sacrificing it. You paying on one mana to scry 2 and then sacrifice. It's not great. So kind of a just mostly grease the wheels reprieve kind of card. With some scries also, but it's fine. It's fine. Not a great thing to bargain, but cool card for limited. Constructed, maybe, but probably not. But it's an artifact, it's a food, and a clue also, so. Collector's Vault, 2 mana for an artifact. Pay 2, draw a card, discard a card, and make a treasure. So a little bit of a looting station that makes treasures. Kind of cool, honestly. For a slow limited deck. It's clunky, though. It cost 1 or activated for 1. Maybe constructed playable, but otherwise not really. And honestly, just pretty slow card. Maybe sealed, maybe, but kind of eh. We got Areths Tempting Apple. 4 mana for a uncommon food. This is a threaten, colorless threaten. So ETB, threaten a creature, untap it, gains haste, yada, yada, yada. You could also pay 2 and sacrifice it to gain 3, or pay 2, sacrifice it, and your opponent loses 3. So kind of a weird threaten. There aren't a lot of great sacrifice effects to steal things and sack them. But this can also gain life and deal damage to your opponent. Just a weird card, though. Just kind of a weird card. Don't know what deck really wants this card because there aren't really many threatened things in this format either. So, The Brutski returns. Can't catch me. I'm the Gingerbread Man. Fringe playable, standard card, constructed card. I'm sorry, fringe playable, constructed card, and then limited. It's fine. It's playable. It's okay. Not great. Heidlas Crown of Winter. This is a busted limited card. 3 mana for an artifact. Pay 1, tap a creature. On your turn, it's free to tap. And you can pay 3 and sack it and draw a card for each tap creature your opponent controls. So obviously, again, the blue-white archetype's all about tapping things, frozen, yada, 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 tap some stuff. This card does that better than anything, obviously. It triggers all your cards, then you can draw cards later. Cool card for sure. Constructed-wise, it's kind of clunky. And I don't really know what you want to do. Like, tapping their shield or whatever is not very exciting. So probably not for constructed, but pretty awesome card for limited. Prophetic Rhythm returns. These cards aren't in standard, but good limited card. Honestly, a great limited card in this set because you can sacrifice for bargain too. So definitely a card that could have a little extra utility and constructed because of bargain. And then good limited card as well. It's a fixer. It's a bargainer. Card's very good. Probably a pretty high pick in draft. Scarecrow Guide. Just your usual kind of bad mana fixture in limited. Don't want to play this card, but if you need to splash, this card does it for you. Soul Guide Lantern. Reprint. No, this card does. Good graveyard hate. You get the idea. Syr Ginger, the Meal Ender. This card looks stupid, obviously. It's a dumb food candy card. We get the idea. But there's a lot of stats on this card, folks. 2 mana for a 3/1. It has Trample, Hexproof, and Haste as long as an opponent controls a Planeswalker. Not going to matter a lot of the time, but will still be good when it matters. Whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard, put a counter on this and scry 1. That's pretty damn good. Uncapped, so it's not like it's only once a turn. And if we're just sack a treasure, sack a treasure, this thing's all of a sudden like a 5/3 for 2 mana. That's insane, And then it also can just sack and gain life too, which is kind of cool as well. So this card's pretty wild. It is cool standard-wise. It is Wandering Emperor proof, which is kind of cool. It's hexproof also. This card's sweet. It's also a knight too. It's a legend. I think this is a very, very real card. This card's going to see play in multiple formats. Might even be a cool cube card, honestly, too. But very surprising one because it looks so freaking stupid. But I think this card is actually quite exciting. And it's got a lot going on. Sack of blood, make it bigger. Sack of treasure, make it bigger. Sack of food, make it bigger. And the base stats of a 3/1 for 2, but it's just fine, a lot of upside too. So I think this card's pretty awesome. This card's going to show up in a surprising amount of places. It's just a good card, and then limited, the card is great. Same thing. Just a really good card. I don't know what to tell you. It looks real dumb as freaking, there's like Hookie riding a cookie horse, spearing a grape, but yeah, it's pretty good. Sleeper card. Moving on to the Iron Crag.
It's a trap.
We have not had a proper mana rock in standard that is a 2 mana artifact that taps for 1 mana since Everflowing Chalice over 10 years ago. Over 10 years ago. There's a good reason for that, because 2 mana rocks are very good. Signets, Mindstone, etc., etc. That being said, this card's pretty mopey. So we have a 2 mana rock. It's legendary. Can't play that many of them or rely on them, right? Can't play 4 of this card. It's just too awkward legendary. And the thing is that standard right now isn't really about ramping. If you don't want to play Shieldred on turn 3 because they'll just kill it. You got to play Shieldred on turn 7 after both players have drained all their resources, right? So mana rock wise, there isn't really a lot of good mana rock things to do in standard right now. Then you have this weird text, or this is one of the few cards in Magic that would have been so much better as a flip card than a non-flip card, where when you play a legendary creature, you can have this. It is a may. It's not a must, which I thought it was initially. Have it transform into this Volshock battle gear, terrible equipment. Which you're not really going to want to do in your mana rock deck that often. It's kind of a weird thing to have. So it is a different name. So it is a way to kind of get around the legendary drawback. But what deck wants this? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I think this card's okay. It'll see a little play. I think folks are kind of flipping out since it's our first mana rock in 10 years. But it's just not that good. The equipment part is almost blank. And then it's just a colorless, awkward mana rock. Just don't think this card's very good. In limited, this card's fine. But constructed wise, I don't know. Not really feeling it. I think this card's a little stinky. And that's the trap card for Colorless. 3 bowls of porridge. What can I say? This one's too hot. This one's too cold. This one's just right. Flavor win of a set, obviously. And a pretty good card, too, honestly, for limited. It's a mana artifact. It's a food. You pay 2, and you can bolt something. Shock something. You can tap something, and you gain 3 life. That's not bad, honestly. You know, it's not a bad card as far as rate goes. I mean, just like, you know, killing a thing at the start is great. Just pretty good limited card. Really fun card overall. Flavor, off the charts. Constructed now, but still a cool card. And then on to our lands. So, of course, lands are our colorless. We've got Crystal Grotto, reprint here, Scry 1, mana of any color. Pretty good card. You know, Scry 1 adds a lot to this as far as fixing goes, so not a card you want a ton of, but if you're splashing as a cheap card, or you're playing a deck that's like got pretty good mana requirements, you can afford the Scry, not bad. It's fine. Edgewall Inn, new uncommon land. EDB's tapped. Choose a color, taps for that color, so it's a mana fixing land. Pay 3 and sacrifice to return an adventure card from your graveyard to your hand. Another good land. Constructed playable maybe, because like, you know, having value in lands is pretty cool, but definitely a great limited card. Good mana fixer, and then getting value to land spread gets rate 2, which is pretty cool. Evolving Wilds, always a welcome sight. Great art on Evolving Wilds. I like the art of Evolving Wilds a lot. And then obviously a very important card for limited as far as splashes go. So with this card, as well as Prophetic Rhythm, maybe 3 colors is a possibility, which is pretty good. So a very important card to splash with. Good card to speculate on also, which is good. And then we come to the new creature lands. So we have an enemy cycle of creature lands. These are similar to the old Shambling Vent Celestial Colonnade lands in that they are tap lands, tap for 2 colors, and they become a creature for a mana cost. But these also have attack triggers as well. So the Boros entry is Restless Bivouac, which is a 2/2 red and white ox on a turn for 3 mana. But whenever it attacks, you put a counter on a creature you control. Raging Ravine style. So it can go on here, or it can go elsewhere too, which is pretty cool. So these are going to be huge in standard. Surprise, best in show. All 5 of them get best in show because these are going to be huge in standard. Very, very important. These have always been great in standard. At any point they were legal, and now you have new ones. Yeah, cards are really good. So, Boros 1's good. My vote for the best one is Restless Cottage, which is a same thing. ETB tap, red, green, black. 4 mana to make a 4/4. Whenever you attack, you make a food and exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. This is excellent. This is very, very similar to Hive of the Eye Tyrant, and we know how good having random graveyard hate on your land is. But it's a 4/4, which is huge, and makes a food, which is great. And then also, green-black is just a really good mid-range color anyway. So, like, you want to have these creature lands in your mid-range deck, which is excellent. So, this is my pick for the best one. I think they're all getting best in show because they're all excellent. We've got Restless Fortress, which is the black-white version. Pretty good, but not as exciting. We have a 1/4 creature that whenever it attacks, you drain for 2. Less exciting because it's much easier to block and trade with. And you get to gain a few life here or there, but like they can probably just block it. It's probably just going to deal 2 and gain 2. It doesn't trigger on blocks either, so it's fine. Black-white also a very good mid-range combination, and getting some life here is nice too. But overall, I think this one's it's okay. It's fine. Not amazing, but fine. We've got Restless Spire, the cheapest one of the cycle, which is the blue-green one. This one activates for only 2 mana, becomes a 2/1 that has, as long as it's on your turn, it has first strike, and then attacks to scry 1. The cheapness here is great. Obviously, the cheaper the better in a lot of cases, and then first strike is pretty good too, scrying as well. A little small, but efficient. Problem here is like what blue-red deck would like want this card, because usually spell-based decks, but still pretty good. Then we have Restless Vinestock, the biggest of the cycle, which is the blue-green version. Activates your 5 to become a 5/5. Whenever it attacks, you get to make a creature you control base power times 3/3. So, most expensive one by far. 5 mana is a lot, but can potentially attack for 8, which is kind of cool. But kind of clunky. Good in ramp decks, we'll see. And that's it. So that's the 5. So Best in show for me is Restless Cottage, but the whole set gets best in show. And I think Red Cottage is by far the best one. Hit your opponent, and also hit your opponent's creatures too. It's pretty cool. So make the strength their thing. It's too cool too. But yeah, so best in show here, recapping, is Restless Cottage and the other lands. Our sleeper card is Syr Ginger, and our Iron Crag is going to be our trap card, and that's it for Colorless. But we're not done yet. All right, we've got one section left. We've done every card in the main set so far. However, there's going to be a bonus sheet once again. If you know me, I love the bonus sheets. Retro Artifacts in Brothers War, the Legend sheet in March the Machine. These sheets both do two very important things. They make Limited really, really interesting. Because of these kind of weird, old, powerful cards just floating around, which is awesome. And they're really big for Historic. I love Historic, obviously, as a format. And they get to add some unique cards to Historic that aren't really there. So, very exciting. That's coming next. You two folks love, you like, comment, subscribe. Let's see Spreading Seas, which is banned in Historic. And see how it goes.